I'm the only girl in school who can do more than 10 pull-ups. So whatever you can throw at me, I can handle it. Bring it! Hey! You're dead! Do you hear me?
Last time, I talked about Ezekiel. He hates women and they hated him right back. And it cost him his life as a potential winner. Now, we move on to our next potential winner, turned current loser, Eva. She arrives on the island with this huge bag, which she immediately just drops on someone's foot. Yeah, so I already like this way better than Zeke's introduction. The guy was so bland, they had to explain his quirks straight to your face. And listen, while this show isn't subtle, it gets Eva's deal across without just, saying it. She's tough, easy to anger, and inconsiderate, which is all you really need with a character like this. She's antagonistic to others and presented as a threat to those she competes against. You would think. So, if it isn't obvious, we're talking about her now because she gets eliminated. What we have with Eva is someone who can have a convincing rivalry with almost any other camper and create, drama. That thing we want on this island. But yeah, this was 2007. The creators, they didn't know what they had. Eva's only crime was existing before her time. Kanto hadn't come out, Rhea Ripley wasn't mommy yet. She was absolutely underutilized as the strong lady archetype that we all know and love today. But I've come to terms with this one. While it would have been fun to see her clash with the others, I understand the purpose of voting her off early, which I can get into later. But this isn't later. This is now, in case you didn't know that. And now, it's time to discuss our second contestant. Like many of the other campers, Eva was actually unaware that she would even be a camper. I alluded to this in the last video, but the actual nature of the show was kept a secret from those who signed up. Most of them thought it was an island resort and not a broken down summer camp. Eva, seeing this deception, claims she doesn't like surprises. Then we see that interaction that I mentioned up top with Cody, someone we'll eventually come to know as the guy who harasses Gwen, who is someone we'll eventually come to know as Gwen. Look at this display of simp dodging. She has no time for this jabroni. Breaks his damn foot before he even shoots his shot. But then Justin, this beefcake right here, arrives and shoots his shot, which just happens to be goddamn existing, and she's down for it.
This is your man.
Yes,
Look at the screen.
that's mine.
A short time later, Eva is sorted into the killer bass. Like Ezekiel. I wonder if he's gonna say something stupid and piss her off. When an attempt is made to befriend her, she simply stares and walks away. Nice power move, but I think it would have made a much bigger statement if you broke her damn foot.
Oh, it's gonna be like that, is it?
During the shark jumping challenge, you know she's gonna go for it. Mama Eva didn't raise no chickens. Despite that, her team still has less jumpers, which means no carts. I said carts, and they have to push boxes of hot tub supplies. Despite showing that she could easily carry a full-ass crate, she chooses not to, I guess, instead demanding that her teammates pick up the pace. And she remains unhelpful, like most of the bass, and of course, they lose the challenge. When deciding who to vote off, Ezekiel claims that the person who casually shoulders a duffel bag full of dumbbells is somehow weaker than himself. In response, she just straight up chokes the guy. Wow, Zeke, look how weak she is. Nice method. But do you know what would have really gotten your point across? Breaking his damn foot. Let's take a look at the next challenge. The day starts with our host waking everyone up early. We then get an important scene with Cody. Again, he leans in towards her in an attempt to touch her MP3 player. I hope. Based on her reaction, he may have been aiming elsewhere. But assuming he was going for the MP3 and not her ass, this scene sets up Eva's downfall. For now, let's just call it check off soon. Chris then informs them that they all have to complete a 20-kilometer run around the lake before they get to eat. You want to guess how Eva reacts to that?
Oh, so you're funny now. You know what I think would be funny? Eva!
Rule of 3 dictates that I am no longer allowed to use the damn foot bit.
Ow!
After the run, they're rewarded with a full buffet. Guys, he made you jump into sharks a few days ago. Why are you accepting this at face value? Best case scenario, this is a setup for a challenge. Worst case scenario, it's straight up poison. And as predicted, Chris activates his trap card. The run and the food? Tactics. Used to make them weaker in the face of this week's challenge. The Awake-a-thon.
Don't worry! This is an easy one!
It is not an easy one. It is easy to explain though. Stay awake for a long time and be the last one to do so. Their bodies survived the cliff, so now it's time to break their minds. And in order to break their minds, Chris breaks time itself. Because the scene where he announces the Awake-a-thon, it's in the morning. Probably between 10 or 11, if you factor in the run and the buffet. We then cut to Chris announcing that the campers are now 12 hours into the challenge. Do you see the issue here? I've never been to Ontario, but I'm pretty sure it's dark after 10 p.m. But okay, let's say it's a late sunset. 24 hours in, it's dark out. 24 hours after 11 a.m. is 11 a.m. And listen, I'm not here to nitpick. I'm here to say that Chris altered the very concept of time just to fuck with these people. But let's go back to the 12-hour mark because stuff happens there. Important stuff. When Eva walks away, she drops her MP3 player. And boom, there it is. Chekhov's Zoom. And it's picked up by Heather. For the purposes of this video, all we need to know for now is that Heather will prove to be a thorn in the side of many a camper. And Eva has just become her first victim. The challenge continues, lasting a staggering 85 hours. And she actually makes it to the final
5.
I believe it's stupid nitpick time. So we see Eva lose her Zoom around the 12-hour mark. She survives a total of 85 hours in the Awake-a-thon. 73 hours. She went 73 hours without noticing her shit was missing. You got Courtney over here doing cardio exercises just to stay awake, and not once did Eva think, oh, you know what would help keep me up? Music! I mean, she could at least have used it to drown out Chris's bullshit. You see, during the challenge, he would do things like read them fairy tales or regale them with the history of Canada in an attempt to make them sleepy. Now, if I were Eva and had access to music, that wouldn't be an issue. But she chooses instead to endure. Truly a badass. Or a dumbass, I'm not sure. Sometime after the challenge, she eventually remembers that she has an MP3 player, and she cuts a goddamn warpath trying to find it. Once it's returned to her, by Heather, she's grateful and even admits she may have acted out of line.
Okay, maybe I overreacted a little.
But the damage is done, and she's voted off. Her reaction is more or less what you would expect. Remember when I said later wasn't now? Well, now it is. Eva could have been an asset in future challenges, and the Bass most likely wouldn't have booted her unless they felt they needed to. So the purpose of her elimination was to set up the true threat of the season. Heather, someone who just manipulated them into making a decision that could potentially hinder their team. Because of her, Eva is gone, never to return.
the wow!